Have you ever noticed that no matter how much you achieve, there always seems to be something else to chase? A little more money, a bigger house, a better car, a higher salary, more followers, more recognition, more success. And perhaps there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But what happens when you finally get them? For a moment you feel satisfied, and then the next target appears, another promotion, another purchase, another goal, another number. And before you know it, you're running again. Perhaps the rat race isn't simply about money. Perhaps it's about constantly believing that the next thing will finally make us happy. The phrase rat race usually makes us think about work, long hours, bills, mortgages, deadlines, commuting. But I think the idea goes deeper than that. You can be poor and trapped. You can be wealthy and trapped. You can have a successful career and still feel like you're running, because the real question isn't, how much money do you have? It's, who decided what you're running towards? Perhaps the rat race begins when we start pursuing goals without ever stopping to ask, why? From childhood, we are given a script. Go to school, get good grades, get a job, buy a house, make money, get married, have children, save for retirement. And there is nothing inherently wrong with any of these things. They can be wonderful things. The problem begins when we assume that following the script automatically means we are living a meaningful life because someone can achieve everything society told them to want and still wake up one morning and ask, is this really my life? There is something fascinating about human beings. We adapt. We get used to things. The new car becomes just the car. The new house becomes just the house. The promotion becomes just the job. The holiday becomes a memory. And then we want something else. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon in different ways. We often adapt to improvements in our circumstances and return toward our previous emotional baseline, which means if our happiness depends entirely on external circumstances, we may spend our entire lives moving the goalpost. Over the years, I've asked hundreds of people a simple question. If you won the lottery and suddenly had millions, what would you do? The answers are fascinating. Some people would travel, some would buy a house, some would buy cars, some would help their families, some would leave their jobs immediately, and some, surprisingly, say, I'd carry on doing exactly what I'm doing. And I think that answer tells us something. Because perhaps the real question isn't, how much money would make me happy? Perhaps it's, what would I do with my life if money wasn't the main constraint? And that question can reveal something much deeper. What do you actually enjoy? Who do you want to spend your time with? What would you learn? What would you create? Who would you help? What would make you feel useful? What would make you feel alive? Money can give us options, but it cannot tell us what to do with those options. Perhaps this is where we need to rethink what it actually means to get out of the rat race. It doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job. It doesn't mean becoming rich. It doesn't mean starting a business. And it certainly doesn't mean escaping responsibility. Sometimes, getting out of the rat race simply means stopping long enough to ask, is this the life I actually want? Maybe you love your job, then keep doing it. Maybe your family is your greatest purpose. That's beautiful. Maybe you want to build a business. Go for it. Maybe you have a passion you'd like to explore, but you don't want to leave your career. Start small. Make it a side project. Maybe it eventually becomes a business. Maybe it never does. That's okay too, because the purpose isn't to turn everything into money. The purpose is to create a life that feels meaningful to you. And perhaps this is the real meaning behind Get Out Rat Race. The rat race isn't necessarily the office, the factory, the commute, the business, or even the money. The deepest rat race can exist inside our own minds. The endless comparison, the need for approval, the belief that we aren't enough, the constant pursuit of more money, more status, more possessions, more recognition, and perhaps we don't escape that race by winning it. Perhaps we escape it by deciding what is actually worth running towards. Maybe the goal isn't to have less. Maybe it isn't to reject ambition. Maybe it isn't to reject money. Money can provide security. It can provide freedom. It can create opportunities. And for some people, building something extraordinary is exactly what gives their life meaning. The question is it your dream? Or is it a dream you inherited? Because there is a difference between pursuing success and pursuing someone else's definition of success. Perhaps getting out of the rat race isn't about stopping the journey, it's about choosing the destination. And perhaps that's where the journey towards self-actualization begins.
Called Professor Tim Kasser. And he's written a book called The High Price of Materialism. Now, what Kasser is saying is, think of materialism as being made up of three different elements: money and what it can buy, appearance and image, and thirdly, fame, popularity, status, power. What is absolutely critical and what holds these materialist values together is very much how we're seen through the eyes of other people. Now, of course, it's the case that human beings live in a material world and we're always going to care about these values. Money is about resources, it's about keeping body and soul together. Of course we're going to care about our appearance. I'm not disputing that. Appearance is about sexual attractiveness, it's about mating, it's about how we present ourselves to other people. And of course we're going to care about what they think of us because we are very, very social animals. The issue that's at stake here is how much these values have come to dominate our lives, completely dominate. They are beginning to trump everything else. Now, what do I mean by values? Well, there's lots of things that we could be paying attention to as human beings. Relationships, caring, meaning, community, service, duty, spirituality, learning, development, fairness, equality, tradition, contact with nature. These are all things that we can and do care about and that we can pay quite a lot of attention to. The problem is that although people are doing that, clearly they're doing that, their attention is continually being drawn to the importance of these materialist values.